All right, let's talk about something we all think we have a handle on, recycling. You know, we separate our trash, we put things in just the right bin, and we get that little feeling of satisfaction, like we're doing our part. But what if I told you that a lot of that good feeling, well, it might be based on a bit of a myth?
No, really, take a second and think about it. Are you absolutely sure that what you put in that blue bin is actually getting a second life? Because the truth is, it's a lot more complicated than we think. And look, this isn't to say we're not trying. Of course we are. We're rinsing out those jars, we're breaking down the cardboard boxes, we're doing it all with the best intentions. And that effort is real. But the big question is it actually working?
Well, here's where it gets a little tough to hear. Less than 10%. That means for every 10 plastic bottles we carefully sort, maybe one of them becomes something of similar value. So, what happens to the other 9? To get that answer, we have to talk about a little process called downcycling.
See, this is where the whole beautiful idea of infinite recycling kind of falls apart, especially for plastic. That crystal clear water bottle you recycled, it almost never gets turned back into another water bottle. Instead, it gets shredded and melted down into something of lower quality. Think filler for a park bench or fibers for a carpet. It's technically being reused, sure, but it's a one-way trip down the value ladder. And eventually, its next stop is the landfill.
And then there's this other thing, something I think we're all a little guilty of. Wish cycling. You know what I'm talking about? It's when you're holding something like a greasy pizza box and you think, this is probably recyclable, right? And you toss it in the bin, hoping for the best. Here's the kicker. That one greasy box doesn't just get sorted out. It can actually contaminate the entire batch of perfectly good paper, meaning the whole lot gets rejected and sent straight to the dump.
And that gets us to a really crucial point. Not all materials are created equal when it comes to recycling. The story is completely different depending on if you're holding a soda can or a plastic yogurt cup. Just look at this chart. You've got your champions, your superstars, aluminum and glass. You can melt them down and remake them into brand new cans and bottles forever with absolutely zero loss in quality. Paper and cardboard, they're pretty good. They can go around 5 or 6 times. And then there's plastic. It's the big problem child. It loses quality every single time. It's easily contaminated, and most of the time, it only gets one more shot as a downcycled product before it's trash.
So after hearing all that, it's pretty easy to feel a little defeated, right? But hold on, don't be, because understanding the real problem is the very first step to finding a real solution. And there are solutions, starting right in our own homes.
So I want to give you a little challenge. Let's try recycling with our heads, not just with our hopes. Here's a simple 5-step challenge. First, pick a space, your kitchen, your office, wherever. Just observe. Look at how confusing the bins are. Then try to improve it. Make new labels with clear pictures and examples. Challenge everyone around you to 1 perfect week of recycling, 0 mistakes. And then talk about it. What was hard? What was confusing? The point of this isn't just to sort better for a week. It's to see firsthand how complicated and broken the system actually is for all of us.
Because that's the big takeaway from a challenge like that. Our individual actions are so important for building awareness, but even if every single one of us became a perfect recycler tomorrow, we still couldn't fix a fundamentally broken system. The problem is so much bigger than our kitchen bins.
Take a look at this number. In Spain, back in 2023, the collection rate for plastic bottles was just 41.3%. The legal target was 70%. We are not even close. And that isn't because people aren't trying. That is a system failure.
But what if I told you there's a different system? A system that's already out there, that's proven, simple, and works incredibly well in other countries. The solution already exists.
And the key is so simple, it's brilliant. You put a price on the waste. You completely change the game by turning that piece of trash into a little piece of cash.
In Berlin, for example, pretty much every can or plastic bottle you buy has a 25-cent deposit on it. You pay it up front, and when you're done, you take the empty container back to a machine at any supermarket, and boom, you get your 25 cents back. All of a sudden, that empty bottle isn't trash anymore. It's money waiting to be collected.
And this has this amazing social side effect. It works so well that the streets are way cleaner. And you'll often see people who can't be bothered returning their own bottles just leave them next to a bin because they know someone who needs the money will come along and collect them. It actually creates a little ecosystem of community support.
And the results? Well, they really speak for themselves. You compare Spain's 41% collection rate with the current system to Austria, which has a deposit return system, they get back 98% of their containers. 98%! The data is just undeniable. This system works.
And that really just leaves us with one final, very important question. If we have a solution that is this simple, this effective, and this proven to work, why isn't it everywhere? We have the answer. We know what to do. So, what are we waiting for?